Chapter 4: The Bunker. After leaving the settlement, the group made their way back to the bunker. They traveled cautiously, always on the lookout for any signs of danger. They knew that the journey back could be treacherous, but they were determined to make it home. As they walked, they discussed their plans for the bunker. They talked about how they would make it their own, how they would fortify it, and how they would create a sustainable life within its walls. When they finally arrived, they were greeted by the familiar sight of the bunker's heavy metal door. Jack punched in the code to open it, and they stepped inside. The bunker was dimly lit, and the air was stale. They quickly got to work cleaning the space, sweeping up the dust and debris that had accumulated during their absence. They worked together to make the bunker feel more like a home. As they cleaned, they talked about their plans for the bunker. They decided that they would create a hydroponic system for growing food, as well as raising chickens and a cow for milk and eggs. They knew that they would need to find the necessary equipment and materials, but they were confident that they could make it work. They spent the next few days exploring the bunker, searching for anything that could be useful. They found an old book on hydroponic gardening, and they spent hours poring over it, trying to understand how it worked. They also found an old generator, which they managed to get up and running with a little tinkering. One day, while exploring the bunker, they stumbled upon an old storage room. Inside, they found a treasure trove of tools and equipment, including everything they needed to set up their hydroponic system. They also found a stash of canned goods, which they eagerly added to their pantry. As they worked, they grew closer as a group. They shared stories and jokes, and they learned more about each other with each passing day. They were no longer strangers forced together by circumstance. They were a team working together towards a common goal. As they settled into their new home, they realized that they were happier than they had been in a long time. They had found a place where they belonged, a place where they could be safe and happy. They knew that the outside world was dangerous, but within the walls of the bunker, they were able to create a life that was both sustainable and fulfilling. In the weeks that followed, they worked tirelessly to fortify the bunker. They reinforced the walls, added additional security measures, and even set up an early warning system to alert them of any approaching danger. They also began to set up their hydroponic system, carefully planting seeds and monitoring the growth of their crops. They were thrilled to see the plants beginning to sprout, and they eagerly looked forward to the day when they would be able to harvest their own fresh produce. As they settled into their new routine, they knew that they had made the right decision by coming back to the bunker. They had created a home that was both safe and fulfilling, and they were excited to see what the future held for them within its walls. After the group had settled in, they knew that they had to fortify their bunker to make it even safer. They decided to venture out into the surrounding area to gather supplies for their fortifications. As they made their way through the deserted streets, they could feel the eyes of the bandits watching them from a distance. They knew that they had to be careful. They eventually came across an abandoned hardware store and decided to investigate. As they searched through the aisles, they found everything they needed to fortify their bunker: barbed wire, planks of wood, and even some old metal scraps that could be used to reinforce the walls. They quickly loaded up their truck with the supplies and headed back to the bunker. Once they arrived, they got to work on fortifying the entrances and windows with the materials they had gathered. As they worked, they could feel a sense of camaraderie forming within the group. They had all come from different backgrounds, but they were united in their goal to create a safe haven for themselves. Finally, after a long day of work, they sat down to enjoy a meal together. Little did they know that their fortifications would soon be put to the test when the bandits came knocking at their door. As they sat down to enjoy their dinner, they heard a noise outside. At first, they thought it was just the wind, but then they heard a voice shouting, "Open up, we know you're in there." The group looked at each other, their eyes wide with fear. They knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to defend their home. They quickly grabbed their weapons and headed towards the entrance.